The sun is a ghost. It haunts the grey sky, a pale smear behind a veil of ash that never ceases to fall. Each breath is a taste of grit and cold. The great herds of iguanodon are gone, vanished into the choking haze that blankets the prehistoric world, driven south or simply fallen. The Skyfire clan is dying with them. Hunger is a hollow thing in the belly, but it is a sharp-toothed predator in the mind. It makes the children too quiet and the hunter's eyes too bright. Kale, the clan's strongest spear, stands at the mouth of the cave, his gaze sweeping the skeletal forest and the barren plains. He sees nothing. The world that once teemed with life, a constant challenge of survival skills and opportunity, is now a silent, grey canvas of despair. His knuckles are white where he grips his fire-hardened spear, a tool of primitive technology that feels useless. But Alara does not watch the horizon. Her world has shrunk to the size of her own hands. She is away from the cave, a solitary figure on the frozen mudflats, her back bowed against the wind. She is not hunting. She is gathering, not berries, for the bushes are barren, not roots, for the ground is iron hard. She is patiently, meticulously, plucking the tiny, insignificant seeds from the heads of withered grasses. One by one, her leather pouch, after a full cycle of the ghost sun, is barely a quarter full. To the others, huddled in the cave, her labor is a form of madness, a slow surrender. It is dust, Kale tells her when she returns, the cold clinging to her clothes like a second skin. He gestures to the pouch. The ornithomimus eat such things. Are we now birds to peck at the dirt? His voice is not cruel, merely cracked with the brittle logic of a starving man. The clan needs a kill. They need blood and fattened marrow to fight the encroaching cold. They need the visceral, undeniable proof of life that only a successful hunt can provide. Her work feels like a mockery of their desperation, an insult to the memory of the great hunts. The study of anthropology would one day call this a pivotal moment in the evolution of human ancestors, but for them, it is a bitter argument at the end of the world. Alara does not argue. She simply tips a small handful of the seeds onto a flat stone she has carried back to her corner of the cave. She has another stone, smooth and round, that fits into her palm. The clan sees to rocks. Alara sees a possibility. She looks from the seeds to Kale's gaunt face, the lines of worry carved deep around his eyes. She understands his fear. It is her fear too. But where he sees an empty world that must be chased, she sees a hidden one that must be unlocked. This flicker of an idea against the crushing weight of reality is a fragile new weapon in the ancient war for survival. As she runs a thumb over the rough seeds, she feels the faintest whisper of a different future, a path away from the bloody tooth and claw of this age of dinosaurs. A scout returns breathless, his words like chips of ice in the frigid air. A bull Triceratops, old and solitary, is sheltering in a ravine 3 valleys away. It is a beast from the age of giants, a walking mountain of muscle and horn. But it is alone and its tracks show a slight limp. This is the kind of information that, before the ash fail, would have sparked a fire in the clan's spirit. Now it is a death sentence, either the beasts or their own. Kale makes the choice. It is what they know. The traditions of early humans are carved by the spear and the kill. To abandon the hunt is to abandon who they are. They gather their osteodontochoretic tools, spears of fire-hardened yew tipped with sharpened bone, and heavy clubs studded with the fossilized teeth of lesser predators. It is the best primitive technology they have. The earth trembles before they see it. The Triceratops is immense, its great bony frill a shield against the world, its 3 horns stained with the dirt of 1,000 battles. It moves with the slow, deliberate power of a landslide. Kale leads the charge, a desperate, valiant cry on his lips. The plan is simple, born of 1,000 similar encounters in a richer time. Harry its flanks, drive it towards the cliff, confuse it, bleed it. The beast's skeleton US beak snaps, shearing a young hunter's spear in two. It turns, not with the panic of a hunted animal, but with the cold fury of an ancient king. The charge is a blur of grey hide and terrifying speed. Kale shoves another hunter aside, taking the glancing blow of a brow horn along his ribs. He is thrown like a door, his spear skittering away. The ground shakes as the bull thunders past, its bellowing roar echoing off the ravine walls, a sound from the dawn of time, a proclamation of its absolute dominion over this prehistoric world. The hunters scramble back, dragging Kale with them, his breath coming in ragged, painful gasps. Less fortunate clansmen behind, a crumpled shape in the grey mud. They have failed. The retreat is a silent, miserable procession, the weight of their dead and the gnawing emptiness in their bellies a heavier burden than the wounded Kale. The truth about dinosaurs is simple. They are the hammer, and everything else is the nail. Back in the cave, the silence is deeper than the cold. It is a tomb-like stillness, filled with the ghosts of their ancestors and the certainty of their own end. Kale lies on a bed of furs, his breathing shallow. He looks at Alara, who has not moved from her corner. The seeds and stones are still there. All the rage, fear, and despair of his failed hunt coalesce into a single point, aimed at her. Which another hunter snarls, his voice raw with grief for his lost friend. You play with pebbles and dust. He takes a step toward her, his hand clenched. But Kale raises a hand, stopping him. He coughs, a thin trickle of blood at the corner of his mouth. He looks at his useless spear, then at Alara's simple stones. The hunt is over. The old way is broken. He gives a slow, almost imperceptible nod. It is not a sign of belief, but of utter, final desperation. There is nothing left to try. With the clan's collective gaze upon her, a heavy blanket of expectation and doubt, Alara kneels. She does not work with the frantic energy of desperation, but with the slow, deliberate rhythm of a woman who has practiced this 1,000 times in the lonely hours before dawn. She takes her smooth, palm-sized stone, the one the others called a pebble, and places it atop a small handful of the seeds she has laid on the larger, flat quern-stone. Then she begins to grind. The sound fills the cave, scraping whisper that sets the teeth on edge. It is the sound of work, of effort, but not of the hunt. It is a foreign noise in a world defined by the thud of a spear and the cry of dying prey. Dust, finer than the falling ash, begins to accumulate in the shallow depression of the stone. She works until her shoulders ache, until a small pile of pale, grey flour lies before her. A child, brave with hunger, reaches out a finger to touch it, then recoils. It is not food. It is still just dust. Alara takes a horn cup and adds a spare trickle of their precious water, kneading the powder with her fingers. It transforms again into a thick, unappetizing paste. The hunter who had called her, which lets out a short, bitter laugh. This is their salvation, a tasteless mud pie, but Kale says nothing. His eyes clouded with pain from his shattered ribs, are fixed on Alara's hands. He watches this strange alchemy, this impossible hope, as it is the last thing he will ever see. Alara scoops the paste onto a flat stone that has been heating at the edge of the dying fire. There is a sharp sizzle, and then a smell. It is a scent that has never before existed in the history of Homo sapiens. It is not the coppery tang of blood or the savory aroma of roasting meat. It is warm, nutty, earthy, the smell of the earth itself giving up its strength, not through violence, but through wisdom. The clan grows silent. The children creep closer. Alara uses a stick to flip the small, hardening cake. When it is done, scorched and imperfect, she does not eat it herself. She carries it, still hot, to Kale. She breaks off a piece and holds it to his lips. He hesitates, then opens his mouth. He chews slowly, his expression unreadable. It is gritty, and the taste is bland, but it is substance. It is fuel. It is life where moments before there was none. He looks from the crude bread in his hand to the pouches of seeds lining the cave wall, and for the first time, he does not see bird food. He sees a field of fallen mastodons, a harvest that does not need to be chased, that does not fight back, that will not leave his hunters broken and dead in a forgotten ravine. A single tear cuts a clean path through the grime on his cheek. The spear is bone and wood. The quern-stone is the future. A future whose faint echoes, buried under millennia of earth, would one day become the foundation of archaeology and our understanding of prehistoric life. This was not a battle won with a roar, but with a whisper. The whisper of stone on stone, of mind over muscle, of foresight over famine. In a single, desperate act of creation, the very landscape was redefined. The endless empty plains, once a canvas of starvation, became a larder. The Skyfire clan did not conquer their world. They learned to read its hidden language. This is the brutal, beautiful story of human evolution, a narrative not of inevitable ascent, but of narrow escapes, of choices made on the razor's edge of extinction. The greatest leaps forward were not taken by the strongest or the fastest, but by the ones who could look at a worthless seed and see a loaf of bread, who could look at a hopeless winter and see a reason to keep gathering the dust. This is the defiant spark at the core of our species, the audacious belief that a better world can be ground into existence by our own two hands, even when the gods of this ancient earth are giants of thunder and bone. Our story is not one of conquest, it is the story of survival through invention. The chronicle of our ascent is etched not upon grand monuments, but on the surfaces of forgotten stones, and the ash was only the beginning of the sky's war against the wall.